From the Fox 25 studios in Oklahoma City, this is the Fox 25 Late Edition.
Right now, Hurricane Nate is making landfall across Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. Take a look. You're looking live at a storm chaser you'll see only on Fox 25. This is in Dauphin Island, Alabama. Heavy rains hitting that part of the country right now. The fast-moving storm began making landfall in just the last few hours as a Category 1 storm. It's already packing winds of up to 90 miles per hour. And that is very evident right now in Biloxi, Mississippi. Take a look. Heavy rain pelting the area, the trees whipping in the strong winds. Mostly heavy rains, though, right now there. And let's go on over to Bourbon Street. This is in New Orleans, of course, and you can still see quite a few people out and about there despite the mandatory curfew issued by Mayor Mitch Landrieu for 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Obviously, this storm is not keeping people inside there. And forecasters say the core of the storm is hitting in the same area of Louisiana where Hurricane Katrina brought devastation in 2005. People who live in the Gulf states boarding up windows today after last-minute warnings from officials. 3 states, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, all under a state of emergency right now. The mayor in New Orleans spoke today about what forecasters are expecting from this storm. Take a listen.
This is primarily going to be a wind event and a storm surge event. The rainfall is something that I think that we can handle very well. The most important thing that we always worry about is life safety. That is our #1 priority. And if we think about that, we're going to be fine. But everybody's got to get a plan, and everybody's got to be prepared to protect your personal property.
Tonight, officials are warning of possible widespread power outages across the coastal states. We'll take a look at the traffic today as people tried to evacuate from Biloxi. In New Orleans, there is a mandatory evacuation in place for some neighborhoods and a mandatory curfew for the entire city until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Nate is the 3rd hurricane to hit the U.S. mainland in just 6 weeks. And President Trump has already ordered federal assistance to Louisiana ahead of the storm. He tweeted this morning, quote, "Our great team at FEMA is prepared for Hurricane Nate. Everyone in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, please listen to your local authorities and be safe." And meteorologist Carlo Falco joining us now. And Carlo, Nate already making landfall, still a Category 1 hurricane. Where is he now?
Well, he's moved off of one little peninsula, which is actually kind of a little spit of land caused by the Mississippi River moving through Louisiana, and he's gone back out into a little bay, and now he's trying to make a second landfall as we get into Alabama and Mississippi. We can take a look right now and show you exactly where he is. He's right under that little one. He's moving up to the north at about 20 to 30 miles an hour, which is pretty fast for a hurricane, and that is good news because that means that as the storm moves onshore, it's not going to hang around and just dump rain like Harvey did. It is also not nearly as strong as either Irma or the other storms which we've seen this year. So it's going to continue to push on up to the north. That said, still a hurricane, so very strong storm. Hurricane warnings in effect for this red area, tropical storm warnings in effect for the blue area, and tropical storm watches all the way up into central portions of Alabama and into the border of Tennessee. Nate is forecast to move up to the north, and as we get to about Sunday, it's about 7 p.m., it will be right around Nashville before it finally makes its way up towards the north and east and basically departs the United States through New England. A lot of rain associated with this. Flooding is likely. I've seen forecasts of upwards of 8 to 10 inches of rain possible, especially into the Appalachian Mountains as it moves up and basically dissipates. We have our own weather to worry about. We have a big push of fall air coming our way. Details in your Storm Watch forecast.
Thank you, Carlo. Well, more police are looking for a missing baby who they say is in danger. Take a look at your screen. This is 4-month-old Aubriella Rubel and her mother, 17-year-old Sarah Rubel. Police say Sarah took the baby and she does not have custody. Both the baby and mother were in DHS custody. She was last seen near Southwest 4th and Santa Fe around 11 o'clock this morning. If you see them, you are asked to call police right away. Well, right now, Oklahoma City police are looking for a missing elderly woman. Marlene Gray was last seen near Northwest Expressway and Piedmont Road yesterday afternoon. Police say she's wearing a white floppy hat and uses a cane. She may be driving a 2003 white Mercury Grand Marquis with plate AGN 304. If you see her, call police. New tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from Joe Exotic after his husband died at GW Exotic Animal Park in southern Oklahoma. Officials with the zoo saying he died after accidentally shooting himself. Fox 25 Will Metzold tells us how devastating this is for the zoo's leader.
Zoo staff is in mourning after the loss of Travis Maldonado, the husband to the man known as Joe Exotic. Joe has been with the zoo since it opened in 1998, but Friday afternoon he was shocked by an accident he never thought would happen. Joseph Maldonado has helped build the Greater Wynwood Animal Park into one of the most popular attractions for large cat animals in the state. He first came to the park in 1998 and was there as it opened the next year. He lived at the park with his husband Travis, who he says shot and killed himself accidentally Friday afternoon.
I was in town running some errands and I received the worst phone call of my life. And that was my husband was shot and killed here at the zoo.
Joseph says Travis was in the zoo's gift shop office when his own gun went off. The Garvin County Sheriff's Office and emergency personnel responded. They pronounced Travis dead when they arrived from a gunshot wound to his head. Joseph says Travis thought the gun wouldn't go off without a clip on it.
He was so good with his guns. He shot his guns every day. And to try and explain how something so stupid could happen.
Travis didn't work at the zoo, but Joseph says he enjoyed life and had numerous hobbies.
I expected to get that phone call one day that he killed himself on his four-wheeler because it had to be 90 miles an hour or nothing. You know, without a helmet.
For Joseph, this is one of many tragedies he's been through, including losing his first husband to lung disease and his brother in a drunk driving accident.
Death is making me numb. I don't even know how to feel anymore. But you have to ask God why we're put through such a test.
The park is back open and no other closures are planned. The Garvin County Sheriff's Office is continuing to investigate the shooting. Will Metzold, Fox 25 News.
Well, right now in Tulsa, a woman is in the hospital after being hit by a car not once but twice. Police say she was crossing the street when she was hit by a car, and while she was down on the road, she was struck again by a second car. Both cars took off from the scene. Tonight, the woman is in serious condition but is still alive. And tonight, more than 60 Oklahoma National Guard members are headed to the Middle East. They left this morning from Tulsa. They'll be supporting military operations overseas as part of Operation Inherent Resolve. And new details tonight from Las Vegas. Investigators are looking into what mass shooter Stephen Paddock planned to do with explosives found inside of his car. Police found 50 pounds of tannerite in his vehicle after he was killed. Tannerite is designed for so-called explosive targets, not for massive demolition. Exploding targets are developed so marksmen could see when they hit them at great distances. But police say it could have been much worse if the Las Vegas gunman had placed some of that material down at the street level and aimed at it with a scoped rifle.
The binary explosives could have been detonated with rifle slugs from those rifles from the 32nd floor. One, for the effect of creating chaos amongst the crowd, and secondly, as a result of the explosion, widespread shrapnel raining on the crowd.
Investigators also found ammonium nitrate in Paddock's car in addition to tannerite. A CNN law enforcement analyst believes Paddock may have had a plan to set off a car bomb. Vice President Mike Pence was in Las Vegas today paying tribute to the victims. Pence and his wife visited a memorial of 58 crosses, one for each victim, located just behind the Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign. The vice president also spoke at the Las Vegas citywide Unity Prayer Walk.
In America, we mourn with those who mourn. We grieve with those who grieve. And I stand before you today on behalf of my family and every family in America to say we're with you. Today, we are all Vegas strong.
58 people were killed when Stephen Paddock opened fire from his hotel room Sunday, making it the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Now, doctors, nurses, and other hospital employees who worked that fateful Sunday night are being honored. A ceremony was held yesterday to recognize staff members at University Medical Center and Sunrise Hospital. One of the Sunrise employees accepted a plaque on behalf of her hospital. The plaque read, quote, "Saving lives, Vegas strong." They lit candles for the 58 victims who were killed and thanked the hospital workers for their hard work. Well, just days after the Las Vegas attack, the NYPD is stepping up patrols at concerts in Central Park. There are 2 summer stage concerts this weekend. Heightened security also comes after police revealed a thwarted terror plot from last year in which 3 men planned to bomb Times Square and the subway system. But despite the news, concert goers are heading out and say they are not going to let fear stop them from having a good time.
I feel secure for the most part, and I see NYPD, surrounding the areas and stuff like that, so we're pretty good.
3 men were arrested in connection to the terror plot and face a long list of charges that could result in 15 years to life in prison. Well, new tonight, President Donald Trump sending cryptic tweets to North Korea today. Take a look. They say, quote, "Presidents and their administrations have been talking to North Korea for 25 years. Agreements made and massive amounts of money paid. Hasn't worked. Agreements violated before the ink was dry, making fools of U.S. negotiators. Sorry, but only one thing will work." And this comes just days after President Trump said it was, quote, "the calm before the storm" at a dinner with military leaders on Thursday. When pushed for details, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says the president wants to play his cards close to the chest.
I think that North Korea, Iran both continue to be bad actors, and the president is somebody who's going to always look for ways to protect Americans, and he's not going to dictate what those actions may look like.
As multiple foreign crises boil, reports are multiplying of problems between President Trump and his top diplomat, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. At a rare press briefing, Tillerson disputed reports of his leaving, and the White House says his job is safe. We've got your back tonight with new developments in Washington and the push for health care reform. President Trump possibly making a deal or looking to make a deal with Democrats on a new health care bill after the Republican-led Senate failed to produce one. But Fox News' Kristen Fisher tells us what the administration is doing now that may make any deal at all hard to find.
At the same time the Trump administration is dealing this pretty big blow to Obamacare, the president is also continuing to try to cut a deal with Democrats about a health care bill. He said this morning on Twitter, quote, "I called Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, yesterday to see if the Dems want to do a great health care bill. Obamacare is badly broken, big premiums. Who knows?" But Schumer seems a little less optimistic. He says that the president wanted to make another run at repeal and replace, and I told the president that's off the table. If he wants to work together to improve the existing health care system, we Democrats are open to his suggestions. But working together with Democrats will only be even more difficult after what the Trump administration did just yesterday. It expanded the exemptions for the Affordable Care Act's contraceptive mandate to include moral objections in addition to the religious exemptions that were already in place.
The president believes that the freedom to practice one's faith is a fundamental right in this country, and I think all of us do. And that's all that today was about. Our federal government should always protect that right, and as long as Donald Trump is president, he will.
So before the exemption was limited to churches and religious organizations, now it's been expanded to any business, nonprofit, or even publicly traded company with seriously held moral objections as well. Well, Speaker Ryan, he called it a landmark day for religious liberty, but House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi called it despicable. And the president of Planned Parenthood, she put out a statement that reads in part, quote, The Trump administration just took direct aim at birth control coverage for 62 million women. This is an unacceptable attack on basic health care that the vast majority of women rely on. The ACLU has also already filed a lawsuit, but the White House says it's willing to take this one all the way to the Supreme Court. In Washington, I'm Kristen Fisher, Fox News.
The City of London is on edge after a car drives right through a popular tourist spot. What witnesses are saying tonight about how the man acted just moments after plowing through the crowd, and what police are saying about if this is another terror attack. Tonight, the City of London is on edge after a man drove his car into a crowd in a major tourist area. Fox News correspondent Benjamin Hall has the details from London.
Scary moments on streets of London Saturday when a car jumped the curb near the Natural History Museum and ploughed into a crowd of pedestrians.
I heard the crash. I saw people running. It was a bit panicky, but I think it's okay.
The incident happened in the middle of the afternoon, on a day when the Central London Museum is usually teeming with pedestrians and tourists. A man is in custody, and witnesses say he was laughing as he was being detained by police.
There was a guy pinned on the ground, and first I thought it was someone who was injured, but he was being handcuffed and he was laughing, and it was horrible.
Metropolitan Police, however, were quick to reassure the public that there is no danger, saying, quote, "The incident is a road traffic investigation and not a terrorist-related incident." However, police say they are still investigating possible motives. London Ambulance Service says most of the people hurt suffered leg and head injuries, but police say none of the injuries are believed to be life-threatening or life-changing. Witnesses noted just how calm the proceedings were.
No one's really in any sort of panic. The police are very keen to keep people away from the area and get people out of this area, out towards that sort of way down South London, out towards safety, I guess.
There have been 5 terror attacks in the UK this year alone, 3 of them involving vehicles. So the general feeling of calm is a relief, knowing that this could have been a lot worse. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
New tonight, cars may be getting safer, but American roads are getting deadlier. That's according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They say the number of traffic fatalities in 2016 rose nearly 6% compared to 2015. The number of fatalities per mile driven also increased to its highest rate since 2008. Part of the problem is actually a growing economy. It's the combination of cheap gasoline and an improving job picture that has resulted in Americans driving more. The good news, the number of fatalities is still very near the record low rate reached in 2014. Well, AOL is announcing the end of Instant Messenger on Twitter. The once mighty web portal announced yesterday it will discontinue the messaging program. It was everywhere before text messaging took over. It was commonly known as AIM, and the program has been active since 1997. In a tweet, AIM said, quote, "All good things come to an end," and announced the program will cease operation on December 15th. Well, one of Apple's top design guys says some people are misusing their iPhones. Jony Ive helped kick off the smartphone era as we know it with the launch of the iPhone in 2007. Apple has since sold more than 1 billion iPhones, but the company's chief design officer considers constant use to possibly be a misuse of the iPhone. Ives was asked if he personally checks his email constantly. He said he does not, or he doesn't, but that's because of his new Apple Watch. Well, tonight we're learning the Department of Homeland Security will put more emphasis on checking social media accounts of immigrants. Starting October 18th, DHS will start asking for social media handles of people applying for citizenship. Adriana Candelaria shows us why this is worrying some people. And this is only on Fox 25.
Well, beginning October 15, social media posts such as this one could become a part of your immigration record if you're trying to become a U.S. citizen. The Department of Homeland Security says they're just trying to keep a better track of who they're letting into the country. DHS says categories include publicly available information obtained from the internet.
Immigration attorney Ileana Olguin says it's a worrisome proposal.
We're not really sure exactly what's going to happen with this information, how long it's going to be kept for, what exactly it's going to be used for.
The proposal is also asking for aliases and search results of those seeking legal entry to the country. Olguin says it also applies to citizens who have already taken an oath.
It's also going to apply to naturalized U.S. citizens. So these are people who went through the process of becoming U.S. citizens.
The new approach would also apply to people in an immigration proceeding who are legal guardians of physically or mentally disabled people.
We would hope that they really are going to use this information to really try to determine if people who are seeking to come to the U.S. are security threats, whether or not they have ties to terrorism.
DHS is taking comments from the public before the proposal goes into effect October 15.
And that was Adriana Candelaria reporting.
It'll be a very pleasant night for tonight.
Alrighty, and we're having some technical difficulties. Stay with us, though. Coming up, it's that time of year to head out to the pumpkin patch. We've got a look at how some extreme pumpkin farmers are taking things up a notch this year. Plus, showing strength in Washington, how Congressman Steve Scalise is making a powerful comeback in front of thousands of people just months after being shot. And we continue to follow this breaking news. Hurricane Nate making landfall on the Gulf Coast right now as a Hurricane 1 storm. Here's a live look. This is in Biloxi, Mississippi. Heavy rain, high winds slamming the area. We'll continue to watch these live pictures for you and bring you the very latest when we come back.
Well, happy Saturday. If you have your chance tonight, definitely either get outside or definitely open those windows, turn the fans on. It's going to be nice and cool, comfortable, free air conditioning for pretty much everyone. Tomorrow will be nice and warm once again. We're rising quickly through the 60s. Lots of sunshine through about noon, 73 degrees. More sunshine into the afternoon. Stray little clouds here and there. High temperatures right into the low to mid 70s. Lots more sunshine for tomorrow. Basically your dog walk forecast whenever you want to do it. Maybe a little bit on the cool side in the morning. If you're out in the afternoon hours, out for a long time, sunburns will be an issue. Much cooler weather to come. Details in your Storm Watch forecast.
Fall is full of festive flavors, trick-or-treats, and sometimes a nice surprise. For a peek of all three, here's Reed Binion with today's Take a Look at This.
Pumpkin is the flavor of fall, and for this Wisconsin family, bigger is better. At about 6 feet and between 17 and 1,800 pounds, this pumpkin is the biggest one yet for this gourd grower.
We feed them a lot of organic compost and fish oils, kelp. You always try to do different things to make your pumpkin grow bigger.
And that's exactly what they want, the biggest pumpkin for Saturday's competition. And if you're not feeling that flavor, maybe a sweet treat with a side of scary delivery will get you in the festive fall mood. That's what Hertz Donuts is offering this month in Coralville, Iowa. A visit from the store's own creepy clown delivering donuts in his ambulance. A scary trick for a nice treat. In Boston, this is no trick.
Is this real? Could it be?
A perfectly round pearl discovered when Audine Ike was enjoying an oyster during a work event she organized.
I put it in my mouth, I chewed on it, and it hurt, and I was like, ooh, a piece of shell. Ah, what's that? And it was just perfectly round pearl. I was like, is this real? Is this real? I was like, I think something amazing just happened.
And it did. The caterer says after serving some 3 million oysters, they've only witnessed someone finding a pearl 3 other times. For Take a Look at This, I'm Reed Binion.
The Washington Nationals opened their playoff season last night with a special visit from a hometown hero. Representative Steve Scalise threw the ceremonial first pitch in the game against the Chicago Cubs. Scalise was critically injured in June when a gunman opened fire on the Republican congressional baseball team at a practice game. The avid baseball fan and player was shot in the hip and suffered significant damage to bones, organs, and blood vessels. 3 other people were also shot at the game before police killed the shooter in a gunfire exchange. Scalise returned to work at the Capitol last month. A state law on abortions has been overturned tonight. Why an Oklahoma judge says new drug labeling should change how Oklahoma women can access the procedure. New tonight, 2 people are dead after a head-on collision in southwest Oklahoma. It happened near the town of Cyril last night. OHP says a truck crossed the center line and hit a car on Highway 277. Maletta and Jordan Uville were inside that car and both died. The driver of the pickup has been treated and released. The cause is still under investigation. Also new tonight, a group is asking for your help solving a horrific animal cruelty case. The Oklahoma Alliance for Animals says a family in Rogers County found their dog shot multiple times and her eyes had been removed. They also say her organs were pulled from her body. The group is offering $5,000 for information leading to an arrest. We have their phone numbers on okcfox.com. And right now, ongoing protests in St. Louis have left the city stuck with a massive police overtime bill. Street rallies have been underway since last month when former officer Jason Stockley was acquitted in the killing of a black driver. As Vic Faust reports, officers who work on those protests racked up almost $3 million in overtime.
The city of St. Louis is feeling the financial effects of ongoing protest.
$3 million is a lot of money, as you know, but certainly we're going to have to figure out where to take that from.
The mayor and St. Louis police estimate they owe officers $2.9 million in overtime pay right now for working protest. That total, though, just for the first 10 days, September 15th through the 25th. Following the Jason Stockley decision.
We have to pay for those salaries. Hopefully it won't continue at that rate, at that overtime rate in the long term.
The police department says they will have an updated estimate next week. Officers are no longer working those 12-hour shifts. However, overtime will be worked as needed.
That's a significant problem to the city of St. Louis, and it will impact every service all the way up and down the line, everything from street cleaning to every component of the city's budget.
Not only is the money owed extremely high and not planned for, Board of Aldermen President Lewis Reed tells me police will probably be needed to work more overtime.
We're hearing that the protesters are going to continue, but we're addressing a lot of the issues that are systemic issues, not just in the city of St. Louis, but across the country.
Reed hopes protesters see that some movements are being made in areas of subpoena powers and police body cameras, plus action being taken in the circuit attorney's office to take over officer-involved shootings.
And that was Vic Faust reporting. Stockley shot and killed Anthony Smith after a suspected drug deal in 2011. But prosecutors said Stockley planted a weapon that he claimed Smith tried to reach when police approached him. A Tulsa teen has been charged after police say he shot and killed a teacher and raped an 81-year-old woman. Reports show 16-year-old Deontay Green kidnapped an elderly couple, then raped the wife. He then forced a Broken Arrow family inside of their home. When the husband tried to stop him, he was shot. Shane Anderson, a Broken Arrow teacher, died from his injuries. Green faces several charges, including first-degree murder, first-degree rape, and robbery. New tonight in political news, an Oklahoma judge has overturned a state law restricting a woman's access to drug-induced abortions. Yesterday's ruling overturns a 2014 state law that banned off-label use of medication used for abortions. The new ruling notes that the Federal Drug Administration has updated the label for the drug to include it for use in medical abortions. Oklahoma Attorney General Mike Hunter and Governor Mary Fallon's office say they're disappointed and will appeal the ruling. Well, new tonight, changes in the works that could ban all state employees and officials from lobbying for 2 years after their tenure ends. The Oklahoma Ethics Commission is proposing the change to allow a, quote, cooling off period. But the idea was poorly received at a commission meeting this week. Critics say there is not a way to fully guard against unintended consequences under the proposed change. Now, lobbyists, lawyers, and lawmakers are asking the commission to abandon the idea. More than 30 states have the so-called cooling off period.
Well, looking outside right now, it is beautiful in Oklahoma City and really anywhere around the Oklahoma City metro. Temperatures right around 60 degrees, a little cooler out towards Yukon at 56, 58 degrees for Shawnee currently. And how about in the next couple days, we're going to be talking about these types of temperatures for highs and low temperatures into the 30s and 40s, which are coming. But good news, especially for the end of the weekend, it's going to be sunny and warm tomorrow. And then for those of you who aren't quite ready for summer to end, we're going to be bouncing back into the 80s as we get towards the end of this week. For tonight, low temperature 53 degrees, very pleasant and cool. South winds on the light side, but it will be light enough and mild enough to keep temperatures basically into the 50s. Low 50s right around the upper 40s as you get to the north and west, upper 40s onto the panhandle. As you get up tomorrow morning, mid-50s by about 7 a.m. It's going to feel warmer in that sunshine as it is going to warm us up pretty quickly, 57 by 8 a.m. And then we keep that warming going. By 10 a.m. heading out to Sunday morning Mass, 66 degrees. Coming home from Sunday morning Mass, no jackets needed by noon, 73 out there. We do have ourselves Hurricane Nate. He is just making landfall in southern Mississippi and southern Alabama right now, but we are blocked by a very strong cold front. You felt that cold front come through yesterday. It gave us those very powerful thunderstorms. It's going to allow us to warm up with high pressure drifting off to the east. But then we look up to the north, another very strong cold front and a developing low pressure system is holding back the cold. It's in southern Canada and all that cold is coming our direction as a third low pressure system develops just over Denver. That's going to dive to the south, pick up a ton of energy in the panhandles of both Oklahoma and Texas. It's also going to dive down to the south and push off to the east, and that is really going to cool us down significantly. How much? Look at that temperature drop from 86 degrees for your high temperature for tomorrow to 60 as you get to Monday. So a huge temperature drop. In addition, the winds are going to shift around and it's going to be gusty as anything. Winds gusting to about 35 or maybe even 40 miles an hour on Monday afternoon and evening. Chance for showers and thunderstorms, but look, we warm things back up, 83 by Friday.
Carlo, well, if you have trouble sleeping, we've got your back with new research that could help you get some rest. What scientists are now saying may be a healthier alternative to sleeping pills. And we continue to follow this breaking news. As Carlo just mentioned, Hurricane Nate making landfall as a Category 1 storm right now. Here's a live look at Pascagoula, Mississippi. That state seeming to catch the brunt of the storm as we speak, but Louisiana and Alabama will be hit as well. We'll continue to watch these live pictures for you and bring you the very latest.
Hello, I'm Mark Hyman. No one's fact-checking the fact-checkers except us. Here's what's happening behind the headlines. After 2012's Hurricane Sandy, Congress passed 2 spending bills. Congress suspended its rules to pass the second one. What started out as emergency relief for Hurricane Sandy became disaster relief appropriations. By skipping the normal appropriations process, Congress could load the bill with billions in handouts not related to Sandy, or not an emergency. The annual appropriations process is the proper and transparent mechanism to review spending requests. Recently, the Washington Post and PolitiFact claimed virtually all money was spent on Sandy relief. In fact, billions were not for emergency relief or for Sandy. The Department of Housing and Urban Development received 16 of the $51 billion from the second bill. Here are just 2 examples of HUD spending. $63 million was given to Chicago to upgrade city, sewer, and water systems. Related to Sandy? Absolutely not. And why does Washington pay for Chicago's upgrades when you and your neighbors have to fund them in your community? Springfield, Mass. Got nearly $22 million to revitalize low-income neighborhoods. A very noble goal, but not Sandy, not an emergency. Sadly, I could go on. This is the classic definition of pork barrel spending. 47 states plus D.C. got money from a bill pitched as emergency Sandy relief spending. On our website are 2 other segments that show PolitiFact fabricating info and presenting false claims. To comment, go to BehindTheHeadlines.net. I'm Mark Hyman.
If you're tossing and turning every night, you may need to move more during the day. We've got your back with researchers saying they found a link between sleep quality and physical activity. Kim Hutcherson has more in today's Health Minute.
More than 100 million Americans suffer from insomnia, but experts say exercise is a great way to beat sleep difficulties. Multiple studies indicate that physical activity can help you get to sleep faster and stay asleep longer without the risks associated with sleeping pills. Exercise can help those with sleep apnea too. Sleep apnea is a dangerous disorder that can cause a person to temporarily stop breathing at night. One study showed that exercise alone led to a 25% reduction in sleep apnea symptoms over a 3-month period. Disturbed sleep can do more than just leave you groggy in the morning. It's a key risk factor for diseases and conditions like stroke, heart attack, high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity. Doctors recommend that everyone get 2.5 hours of aerobic exercise weekly, along with strength or resistance training a couple of times a week. They say you should exercise at moderate intensity, meaning you can still talk but have to catch your breath every few sentences. Experts say consistency is key. Make sure you exercise regularly to get all the sleep-related benefits. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
This Sunday on Full Measure, the faltering healthcare system known as Obamacare is being called zombie care by some because functionally it's the walking dead. What now? Will you face penalties if you don't sign up for Obamacare? And how would the single-payer plan really work? Some facts you haven't heard. Rome is a city known for its famous historic fountains, so why is the city shutting some of them off? Our Scott Thuman goes to Italy to explore why they're drying up. And obstacles to making the U.S. military its best. One expert tells us how our bravest and brightest aren't always being used to their best potential. More stories you won't see anywhere else this Sunday on Full Measure.
Well, we got to take a little bit of time to say congratulations to Rob and Colleen. They just got married today. They are editor. Rob is an editor here, and Colleen is a morning producer, so big congratulations to those two. Tomorrow, first day of marital bliss for those two. Really be a pretty nice day. Low 80s, lots of sunshine, warming up quickly through the morning. We have ourselves a doozy of a cold front, first one of the season. Monday night into Tuesday, 86 on Monday. Lots of wind out of the south, switching around to the north. High temperature of only 60 degrees on Tuesday. Check out those lows Wednesday morning. 44. Many areas will drop down into the 30s. Then we're back into the 80s by Friday.
It's a Saturday and it's October. Of course, we're talking football. Oklahoma today home against Iowa State, and they played like they were in a bit of a fog. We'll hear from Lincoln Riley on what went wrong next in the Sports Center. Hello, everybody. One of the first things you need to do to be a really good football team is to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Oklahoma had been that team when you consider their last 3 losses were to Ohio State and Houston last season and Clemson in the college football playoff to end the 2015 season. Today, the Iowa State Cyclones were in Norman. Cyclones were anywhere from a 27 to 31-point underdog. Of course, point spreads aren't the end all, but safe to say the Lincoln Riley squad was considered the better team. And the game started that way as OU took the opening kickoff and scored, with Baker Mayfield hitting Trey Sermon for a touchdown and a 7-0 Sooners lead. Now, the Sooner defense did its job when Iowa State was facing 3rd and 4 on their first possession of the game. Jordan Thomas got the big hit. This lodged the ball to force a punt. Then on the Sooners' second possession, well, they took care of business once again when Mayfield dropped back and hit CeeDee Lamb, who made one guy miss, then another guy miss. Then the freshman dove into the end zone for the score to make it 14-0. Now notice Lamb favoring that left shoulder. He came down on it after the dive and would not return to the game, but still OU doing what you expected, which was up 2 scores in the first quarter. After Iowa State cut that lead to 17-10, Mayfield can't find a receiver, but he shows he can improvise and run, tippy-toeing to the end zone. Sooners up 24-10 late in the first half. Now, Iowa State got the ball at their own 30. No timeouts, just 26 seconds to go before the half, so you figure OU's in good shape. But Kyle Kemp found Hakeem Butler for this only catch of the day, a 54-yard play that, though it only gave them a field goal, it started a run of 5 straight possessions that the OU defense could not stop the Cyclones. Third quarter, OU about to increase a 24-16 lead when Mayfield and Sermon missed the connection. Cyclones recovered the fumble. They were inside the 5, though, later facing 3rd and 14, so a stop by OU's defense would give the offense great field position, but Kemp connecting with Allen Lazard for a big gain to get the first down. They get out of the hole and would not be stopped after that because Kemp hit Marchie Murdoch here. He's going to run straight through the Sooners defense, and 28 yards later, he's in the end zone. They also got the two-point conversion to tie the game at 24. For the OU defense, it was just like Baylor a couple weeks ago where they were just giving up big plays. Kemp to Trevor Ryan as the defender's not able to get off blocks. That allowed Ryan to get up the sideline and run 57 yards to the end zone. They scored 21 unanswered points, and even though OU would tie the game back at 31, OU's defense gave up points again. The 5th straight possession with Lazard catching the game winner. Cyclones beat Oklahoma for the first time since 1990. 38-31, your final score.
Very, very disappointing, just our effort today. Thought we were really ready to play. I thought the bye week was really good, and our energy early in the game was good again. You know, similar to Baylor, we kind of had 2 games in a row. We get to that point where we've got a chance to really separate in the game, and we obviously did not do that.
We just aren't making enough plays, and it's, you know, in this league, if that happens, then you're eventually going to come out of the short end of the stick, and that's really, you know, what happened again today.
Unfortunately, I've been in this position before, but you know that means I know what to do and how to handle it. But you know, it's just that's the most disappointing thing. This team, we didn't need that loss today to put our backs against the wall and go to work. We're much better than we showed today, and so that's why watching this film is going to be hard.
Today's loss coming with the Sooners' next game against Texas next Saturday in the Cotton Bowl. Later kickoff normal, though, not 11 a.m. It's a 2:30 kick there in Dallas. In case you've been under a rock, Oklahoma State did not play today. They're back on the field next Saturday when they host the Baylor Bears. That one kicking off at 2:30 as well. Texas home tonight facing Kansas State. Wildcats led at 3-zip, but that would change when Jesse Ertz connecting with Dalton Schoen in stride, which played a big role in him going the distance. 82 yards for the score and a 10-0 K-State lead. And the game went to double overtime, tied at 34. When Chris Warren carried the mail for the Horns from 2 yards out, he's in that mass of bodies, and when he lands in the end zone, it's a touchdown. Texas goes to 2-0 in the Big 12. They win it 40-34 in double overtime. TCU was home today against West Virginia and a chance to take the lead in the Big 12 with a OU's loss. Good start here with Jalen Reagor going 45 yards for the score for a 17-3 lead, but the Mountaineers came to play as well with Will Greer connecting with David Sills. Sills did the rest by outrunning everybody to the end zone to complete a 65-yard play to cut the margin to 17-10. Horned Frogs open up the playbook with the double pass here. Cavante Turpin going back to Kenny Hill. Hill showing his running ability, speed, and elusiveness on a 48-yard scoring play to break a 17-all tie. Hill caught a TD pass, threw for one, and also scored the game winner. TCU got the win 31-24. Don't forget, Oklahoma City Thunder are back home tomorrow afternoon for a preseason game. They'll take on Melbourne. They're out of the NBL in Australia. Tip-off for that was at 2 o'clock. A couple baseball scores. Washington Nats beat the Cubs 3-1. That series tied at 1 apiece. Dodgers are leading the Diamondbacks. It's 8-5 in the 8th. And don't forget, tomorrow's a big NFL Sunday. We got the doubleheader here on Fox 25, the feature game in the NFL. Cowboys and Packers, 3:25. There's your sports. We'll see you tomorrow night at 10 o'clock on Fox 25 Sports Sunday.